Britain might be closer to striking a free trade agreement, FTA, than most think, as the EU's chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier appears to have dropped two major objections, a prominent Eurosceptic has claimed. Britain and the EU have agreed to continue discussing a free trade deal until October 2. The UK's chief Brexit negotiator David Frost announced, "Negotiating rounds will take place in August and in September, unless agreed otherwise between the parties." A fifth round of talks broke out in London at the end of last month, with both sides saying they were still far from reaching an agreement. Sticking points include the so-called level playing field, to ensure businesses on one side do not have an unfair advantage over the other, and fishing rules. Downing Street is said to be working on the assumption Britain will have no trade deal in place when the transition period ends on December 31. But the UK might be closer to a deal than most think, according to the director of Eurosceptic campaign Get Britain Out. Writing for Global Vision UK, Jane Addai argued that the cracks in the EU's armour are beginning to show. She explained, "One area in particular where the EU's argument has begun to fall apart is over the treatment of the non-legally binding political declaration as a concrete text to simply be replicated into a free trade agreement, largely in the EU's favour." For the last few months, Michel Barnier has held up the political declaration and declared Prime Minister Boris Johnson agreed to this framework back in October last year and therefore it must be applied as it is and with no changes. This seems to be the reason Mr. Barnier has demanded a level playing field on state aid forms a pivotal part of any trade deal, something which simply will not be accepted by those who backed Brexit and Boris Johnson at the last election, as it would mean we would still be shackled to the EU, clearly not taking back control. However, on two things contained in the political declaration, Ms. Addai noted, the EU appears to have now backtracked. She wrote, "There was a commitment to establishing a deal on foreign policy and security cooperation as part of the trade negotiations. This is something the UK has rightly fully rejected now and refuses to include in any talks."